Welcome to Salcedo Paranormal. It is Sunday, February 19th, 2023, and today I am sharing true paranormal stories from the web. As always, you can find all of the shows along with links to social media and other ways to contact me at the podcast page, and that is salcidoparanormal.podbean.com. That's SALSIDO paranormal.podbean.com. Always happy to hear from you all, whether you have comments or questions or topic suggestions or stories of paranormal experiences, whether they're your own or from others that you trust. Happy to either read those or have you join me on the show to talk about them. And going a little bit longer than I used to, I'm going to try to get to a certain around a certain time length here, just for things that may happen in the future. So, and of course I will, if they do, then I will let you all know what those things are when we get to them. So, I have a few stories to read for today, and I think with that I can get to them. Again, this will be the pattern for the next few days, alternating between true paranormal stories from the web and paranormal news. And then Wednesday night, Thursday morning, I will be finishing off my series on H.P. Lovecraft. I think I already said that yesterday, though, so I guess I didn't need to say that again today. But, yeah, so that's the plan for the rest of this week here, and getting into the next week. And so let me just get to the stories here. Thank you all for being here and listening, whether you listen live or to the podcast or YouTube feeds. I always appreciate that. I'm seeing the numbers, and they really are amazing. So thank you all for listening. And I definitely, this would not be here without you all helping. So, getting to this first story here. This one says, this happened about 3 years ago. I was at my grandmother's house. She literally lives on the same street as I do. So many summer days and nights, I go there to sleep. That house has two doors, the main one and the back one. The back door has a very characteristic sound when opening. One night, around 2 a.m., I was playing some video games in a room that is about 10 meters from my grandparents' room. I heard the back door opening and closing exactly like when someone enters the house, including that characteristic sound I was talking about. Then I heard very noticeable steps heading towards the living room, the central part of the house. So I opened my room door, and I didn't see anyone. I checked if it was my grandparents, but they were both in their room sleeping. And it couldn't be anyone else because it was very late and there was no one else in the house. I remember how my heart was pounding. I got very nervous at that moment. This was my only paranormal experience that I remember. When I tell the story, people don't usually believe me, but if it's worth anything, I swear on my entire bloodline and my life that I remember it that way. As an additional detail, I'm 19 years old, and I was around 17 or 16 when they happened. And that's where the story ends. I always wonder when it comes to these stories about somewhat events that would be normal if it weren't for the circumstances surrounding them, like doors opening and then closing like that. I wonder if it's some kind of either a time anomaly where that's just someone that's coming home in their own time, and somehow there's just this brief second or minute where the people in the two different times, or maybe even just the one, is aware of the other. And it's just someone coming home. It's nothing dangerous or nothing weird, just normal routine things. And I wonder how often that happens where people come and go, whether it's spirits or people in different time periods, and for whatever reason, there's this overlap in a place that is there for who knows how long, especially if it's a house that's there for many, many years. I could see that happening, where you have just the right energy patterns or the right whatever you want, whatever it is that causes these things, and or a spirit that just happens to be going through its regular routine and doesn't even know that you're going to be aware of what's happening, and it's just in a way living its own life. I always wonder about that with these stories because it seems like it's it may not be meant to scare the person that's having the experience. It's just again just a normal daily life, possibly for someone else somewhere else, or in some other plane of reality. Who knows? But so that's why I wanted to share that story because I wonder how often that happens. Especially in houses where there's a lot of people that are living in a place, and there's always just activity day and night. I wonder how much of that activity is actually the people that are staying there, or how much of it could be paranormal that you just would never even notice. So, and so that's why that story was interesting to me. So, that's the first one for today. Let me get to the next one here. Let me see here. Okay. So let me see here. Where does the second one start? Okay, here we go. This one says, I always struggle to come to terms with what community this story belonged to. I will tell it here, excuse me, as I feel it's most fitting. This is on a website. It was the winter of 2019. I was dating this girl at the time who was staying in a small town in California. The people that live here are mainly dairy farmers or own horses or donkeys. Her bedroom had this epic view of the green fields that would go for miles. It was about midnight, and we were up watching a movie, about to go to bed. It's pitch dark outside. Suddenly, this really bright, sun-looking figure warps into the fields. It literally lit up the fields as if it was daytime. It lasted maybe 5 seconds, and then disappeared. We sat there, so confused, for a good 10 minutes. We thought the next day we would read about it in the local media outlets, social media and other things, but nothing. As if we were the only ones to witness it. I tried to rationalize it. Apparently, when a meteor enters the Earth's atmosphere, it makes a bright light that could imitate sunlight. But I watched many videos of this, and it didn't look like what we saw. What I saw didn't shoot across the field. It didn't shoot across the sky. It was stationary. So my guess is maybe a UFO? I'm not sure to this day. This image will live in my head until I die. Some things can't be explained. And that's where that story ends. I don't know what that was, but that is really amazing. Quite the experience there. And I don't know. It's really I mean, it does sound like it could have been that it was some kind of UFO, some kind of light in the sky. But yeah, I don't know what that was really. Sounds like they don't know what it was. I wonder. Now here's something. It just comes up in the chat here, just based on the conversation I'm seeing. I wonder if it was some kind of a portal, opening and then closing. Um, I mean, you do hear about that in fiction so often in stories when these portals open and close. A lot of times, anyway, there's a bright light shows up, and then whatever is traveling through it will appear. Of course, if it's in the middle of a field, maybe whatever showed up didn't didn't need or didn't show up visually to the people, or if it did, if it was in a field, maybe it wasn't tall enough to be seen in the field. Um, yeah, alien ghost monster or monster spirit or UFOs. I don't know. Hard to say with that, but the idea of it being a portal, that's I sort of wonder if that could be what that was, and what a lot of lights could be, especially the bigger ones. Maybe they could be some kind of portal opening and closing. Hard to know, but yeah. So it's a quite the idea, and I mean, depending on what's coming through, it may not be visible to us. Maybe the only thing that's visible to us is the portal itself, or the energy exchange. Maybe not even the actual portal, but just the energies interacting causes that light. 5 seconds isn't too long, so a lot of possibilities there. Especially, they didn't say it made any noise. Um, so, and they pointed out it didn't appear to be moving. It just appeared, stayed for 5 seconds, and then then was gone. So, um, I don't know, but quite the story there. I'd be curious to know more about that area in a way, and what else goes on there that maybe hasn't been posted online yet. So, but anyway, so that's that story, and I have one more for today. So let's see here. Let me get to this. This one says, I'm from Ohio in the United States. When I was in 4th grade, 10 years old, I'm 19 now, my friends and I were out in the woods behind my friend's house. We were always back there growing up. There was a creek we would hop over, and just on the other side was a farm with some horses. One day we had just jumped over the creek, but were still in the woods right by the creek. That's when we heard what sounded like a little girl scream at the top of her lungs. Being young kids, we all just froze, thinking it was odd to hear such a vibrant scream in the middle of the day. About 5 to 10 seconds later, right in front of us, a black figure zoomed across some bushes and shrubs at lightning speed. We all looked at each other and bolted out of the woods to my friend's house. We were all in shock at what we saw, and to this day we still talk about how creepy it was. It moved so fast, there was no way it was human. And where I live, the only wild animals we have here are white-tailed deer, coyotes, and foxes. This thing was at least 6 to 7 feet tall, and was dark enough to look like a shadow or something. It didn't look like it was absorbing any light at all, or was absorbing so much. It was the darkest black I've ever seen. I was just wondering if anyone else in this area, for that matter, or the U.S. for that matter, has seen anything similar. And it mentions they live right by a national park, so maybe there have been some sightings there, but it says this was not in the national park. Just a small patch of woods in a pretty suburban area. So, I don't know what that was. I don't know. That's quite the sighting there. It seems like I would hope that whatever made that scream was that figure that zoomed across their path, um, or maybe just a fox that it scared. But regardless of the scream, the sighting itself does sound odd, especially if it went through bushes and shrubs, but still did not decrease in speed. Sounds almost like either a shadow figure and or some kind of a maybe a Bigfoot, even though that's kind of not the tallest that you hear about for Bigfoot. But maybe some kind of shadow figure, maybe something that doesn't even fit a classification that we would think of. Um, so I don't know. That's another one of those stories where it's hard to judge what that was. Sort of have this contrast with the first story and then these other two stories. Where that first story, it was fairly mundane, just a regular kind of event that could happen in a house. Um, just someone coming in or going out. Technically, they said they heard the door open and close. Um, well, footsteps. They heard footsteps, so maybe it was coming in. But then these other two stories, you have these things that are odd, that don't really fit just the regular. Definitely don't seem like spirits or just plain time anomalies. Never thought I'd say that phrase. Um, so I don't know. That's a neat couple of stories there about some truly anomalous things. That could be any number of things. So, um, but that's about all I have for today. I think from now on I'll add one more story, and so maybe next time I do the show there'll be 4 stories. That'd be fun. So that's it for today. Thank you all for being here and listening. I'll be back tomorrow to cover paranormal news on the next episode of Salcedo Paranormal. Take care, everyone.